Our next presenter is going to tell you her story. Please put your hands together for Michelle Cairns.
Well done, Michelle. Really lucky.
Thank you so much to Simon for inviting me on stage, and genuinely thank you to everyone in the room. You've really, really supported me through this 12 months, and I owe a lot to you guys. So I'm just going to start by giving a bit of background about me. One of my biggest passions is languages, and since a very young age, I've always loved learning languages. And when I was 18, I decided that the best way to learn French was to go and live there in France. So that's what I did. I went and lived there for 3 years, and then also lived in Spain as well. So that led me on to being a teacher. And I taught English as a foreign language when I was living abroad. I taught French, I taught Spanish, and I remember the moment where I got my first job as a teacher, and I was so excited and I was so happy and very nervous. But I thought, finally, I get a chance to make a difference and do something I love at the same time. And I gave everything to that job, really did. I just threw myself into it, and I loved it. I've done about 8 years now of teaching, but very quickly I realised that although I loved it, it really wasn't as sustainable until I was retiring at 68 job. So I realised that I wanted to sort of stay in teaching and stay in schools, but I needed a backup plan. So at that time, somebody out of the blue, I didn't really know very well, a guy called Tim Hodges, he gave me the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and that changed everything. I know it's a bit cliche, but it did. So from that, I Googled property in Chester, and that started me on a 5-year journey. So the first year, I just learned as much as I could. I worked for a sourcer and worked for free, learnt the ropes, did lots of admin for him, did the leaflets. So my summer holidays and my term times and evenings and weekends were just about learning and working and just learning the trade, really. So through him, I bought a couple of single lets, and I was in the environments, and I was coming to these PIN meetings. And Simon asked me actually the other day, he was like, well, you've been in the environment for a while, and I'd been volunteering at the local PIN meetings for a couple of years, and I'd seen people come on stage and seen them come and go, and I suppose, I guess I mustn't have believed that it was possible for me to come and do Mastermind. I don't really know why, but I was so focused on the teaching, I wanted to do that really well, and I was just struggling to juggle, I suppose. But yeah, so after that, I started. I think the thing that changed things for me was a friend of mine who he invited me onto the accelerator, and that changed everything. So a couple of you in the room were at that, were there as well, and. I think at the accelerator, I just realised actually how much I knew, and it was almost a little bit embarrassing, really, because the content was so familiar with me. I sat there and thought, why is it that I'm not sort of achieving all these big things? So that was the game changer, and that led me to come on to Mastermind. This clicker isn't working, so it'll come up on the slides in a second. But the other thing that I've been doing this year, thank you, so my investment area is Chester. In and around that area, so North Wales, Wirral, and around that area. This year I've had the privilege of working with Your Property magazine, which has been phenomenal, and that has been an amazing experience as well, and I'm really very grateful to be part of that. So my why. I've got my family, and a big reason for my why was moving away from teaching and being financially free. So with my family, I want to be able to support them financially. I want to be able to spend more quality time with them. But also another big reason why is I'd like to go back and work with young people, but not actually in the capacity of the French or Spanish. I'd like to be able to work with them in personal development skills and emotional intelligence, and just help them with life skills. So that's a big reason for me. Thank you. Okay, so that was me. Okay, I'm on the right, by the way, so my mum and my sister. People get confused sometimes. So, yeah, my mastermind journey. So since the start of the accelerator, actually, that was when I signed up. That's when I paid and I started my coaching. So, Alyssa, can you do the slides for me, please? Okay. So the first one was a development of the 4 flats. And I'm going to come on to each one individually. So the second was a 7-bed rent-to-rent and a freehold to leasehold. And the final one was the 10-bed purchase lease option. So there's me. Also, one of the highlights of this year was being able to go on Sky Property TV and pitch to the investors there. So that was an amazing achievement. I've done 2 joint ventures, private finance, 156,000. Bridging finance I've used a SAS pension fund, which was an experience. An empty homes loan, which I'm going to come on to in a little bit, and the Sky Property TV that I secured the 200,000. So the development of the 4 flats, this has, it's been an experience, it's been a long process to get this to completion. So I found it on Rightmove, and it's in North Wales. It's a freehold, and I actually learnt this strategy on the accelerator. So Simon said about looking for properties where there's a freehold with different the flats inside it that haven't been split. So there were 4 existing flats. So we didn't actually need change of use, we didn't need planning because it was existing 4, but it was in a real state. It had a prohibition order on it, which meant that the council had closed it down. Now, I'll leave to your imagination why you think they had closed this down. It was a really, really bad state. So I went to a joint venture partner, so he wasn't at the time, but I went to a friend in my network and said to him, would you be interested in doing something like this? And he said he would, and we've decided to do a buy and hold. This was at the start of the Mastermind. There is no way that I would have gone for this, you know, without being on Mastermind. Just knowing the fact that I had coaches, I had mentors, I had you guys and the wider Mastermind community really just gave me that courage to just say, go for it and I'll figure it out later. So a bit on the figures. So the purchase price is 60,000. Now, I called the agent and I said, are you sure that there isn't a 0 missing here somewhere? And she said, oh, yeah, actually, let me go check. So the development costs were estimated about 85, you know, as usual, we're probably over budget a little bit on that. Private finance, we raised 50,000 to buy it. And the empty homes loan. So if you've not heard about this, make a note now. So this was from the local council. It's an empty homes loan. Now each council is different, and some of them have got grants and they've got loans. So this is a loan that's got to be paid back. But it was £25,000 per unit. So because there's 4 flats, we have obviously achieved the £100,000. It's 0% for 5 years. So this is really worth looking into. And one of the surprising things is the property only needs to be empty for 6 months in my case. So, you know, how many properties are just sitting there for longer than 6 months? The other bonus, cherry on the cake, was the stamp duty. So according to our tax advisor, that if you buy a property that is uninhabitable and you can prove it, and we had the prohibition order so we could prove that it wasn't habitable, then the stamp duty is exempt, so we are claiming that back. And the GDV, we are looking at £250,000 worth conservatively. So at the end of it, obviously it's a JV, 50-50, so the net income will be split, £650,000, no money left in. The 7-bed rent-to-rent came up next. It's through a landlord letter, and there's 7 bedrooms, but on this property there's actually 4 bathrooms and 4 kitchens, like kitchenettes are small. But it's in the city centre of Chester, and I made this slide the other day, so 6 out of 7 rooms. Actually, all the rooms have been taken, and the guys are there painting it today. So this is actually, you know, if for anybody who's doing a refurb, I just used a picture of another I used a picture of another property that I'd refurbished, so it was the same furniture, the same colour on the paint, same carpet, so I could say, this is what you will have, and they've taken it all already, so it's fully tenanted, which is phenomenal. I have a 7-year agreement with the landlord, and a private investor came on board with me with this to make this possible. So the income is over £2,000 because I've been able to structure the actual the loan over the 7 years, so that's made that possible. Freehold to leasehold, so this is one I found in auction. There's three flats on one title, but what we're going to do is split the top bed and split the basement as well, so essentially getting an extra 3 flats from it. We're allocating the garden to the back flat, and the exit strategy is to split the titles. So this one, I've come on board with a JV partner to do this one. So it was fully funded with a SaaS investor who I met at a PIN meeting, I might add, and he's funded everything. So the purchase price and the development costs, and the end GDV we're expecting to be 445, and that's conservative. So finally, the fourth one is the 10-bed purchase lease option, and I found this through a sourcer, and it's actually on the same street as the other one, so it makes life very convenient for the tradespeople going up and down. So I've agreed the purchase price of $350,000. It's a 5-year deal, and the refurb is $25,000. Private finance again, and I'm looking to add value by adding bathrooms. I'm in the process of ripping out the kitchens and renovating it throughout. So net income about $1,500 there. So overall, they're the figures. So the 4 flats, GDV 250, freehold 445, and 10 bed 350 on the end values, and total net month income 4,000 and annual 55,000. So my next project, if anyone's interested, is an exchange with delayed completion, because I haven't ticked that box yet. And that's what we're going to do with the building. So it's purchase price 150, and yes, property is very cheap up north. So 150 gets us a whole lot. Development about 20, need some money for the deposit, and the GDV will be 260,000 because there are 4 flats and 2 shops. So if anyone's interested in coming on board with me, I'll be looking to raise the finance for that. Finally, top tips. Prepare for a roller coaster if you're coming on a journey like this, and if you're continuing as well. Every day is just up and down more than you'd ever believe, and you need some grit to get through that as well, which leads me on to invest in your mindset. For people who know me, they know that I am really passionate about personal development, and you have got to feed your mind. You've got to feed your mind every day with positive things to keep you going and keep you going through the highs and obviously the lows. A slight edge book, I put that in because there's hundreds I could have put in, but actually this one, some people, they've got the target that they aim for, and that's what pulls them. And for me, it was all about just get through the next day, just get through and just keep going and keep chipping away. And then the compound effect of that, I put that down to, that's why I'm here on stage. I've put be a farmer because what I mean by that is in that same idea of just keep chipping away. Like a farmer plants the seeds, and then they go off onto another field, do something else, and they come back and water it, but they don't come back a week later and say, why isn't this plant here? Like they trust the process, which obviously is Simon's key phrase, trust the process, and just trust that what you're doing. So every letter you send is a seed, every phone call you make is a seed, every meeting with an agent, they're all planting seeds. And like we've heard today, there's some people, a letter comes back from 2 years ago that somebody had kept. This is Dan Hill's stay out of trouble and plan for double, which I think is self-explanatory. Plan for double on cost, plan for double on time, and then you won't be frustrated. This is my biggest one here. So key environment, key people, key ideas. By us all being in this room, we've all had to bet on ourselves. We all put our chips down on ourselves to be here, and that's what I've done. It dawned on me, Accelerator, that I had to be in this environment, had to be here, surrounded by people who are on the same journey as me, with the same goals and same aspirations. And I think when you put yourself in that environment with key people, you know, you become like the people you spend time with. And then that's what happens when you've got, you know, those ideas then come to you, those shifts in how you think. You know, my mindset has just changed so much this year, and people have commented, but it really has. I can't even explain it, but yeah. So to wrap up, thank you to Simon, obviously, for putting this community together and invite me on stage. My joint venture partners, which were David and Andrew, I couldn't have done this without them. My investors, I couldn't have done this without the investors. My coach, Julie Barlow, who really helped me shift, you know, on really important decisions, just shift the way I was looking at them, so completely restructure deals and have different conversations with investors and landlords, that has made this possible. Mastermind 26. It's, you know, it's just been a journey, and I really, really thank every one of you. And even those tiny little conversations that, you know, in the corridor have made a difference. My mum, who's always been there from, you know, just, she's always supported me through thick and thin. My friends and my network, so my networking groups and just the wider community. I think everyone who's had a part to play will know what they've done. So thank you very much. Thank you, Simon.